morning. It's 10 o'clock. Cloudy right now. We are sitting at 2 degrees. We're above seasonal, and our high for today is 5. But for the most part, things are very comfortable. From 299 Queen Street West, this is Toronto's breaking news, CP24. Hello, I'm Pooja Honda. We're going to have more on your weather and traffic coming up. But first, our top story. A new report calls for transit riders to pay more depending on how far they're traveling. The report released today by the Residential and Civil Construction Alliance of Ontario also says riders should pay less if they use transit outside of rush hour. The new ideas come in the wake of a debate about how $40 billion can be raised to expand public transit in the GTA. And CP24's Sue Scambatti joins us now live with more details on this. You've been through the report. What are you able to tell us, Sue?
Well, in this report, Pooja, the theme is everyone will have to pay a little bit. I'm joined now by the Alliance Executive Director, Andy Manahan. Welcome.
Thanks, Sue.
Let's start with public transit. We'll just break it down block by block.
Okay.
What's the vision?
The vision is if this city is going to thrive, or this region, we definitely need to build more transit infrastructure. Certainly public transit has not been built at the pace it was in the 50s and 60s. It's fallen a little bit behind. I mean, we have the Shepherd subway. Some people call it the stubway, but we need to do a lot more, and there certainly is a plan right now through Metrolinx to build a number of LRTs across the city. So I think that's a good thing, but out of the $50 billion or so that Metrolinx has said we need for capital expansion, we've only really had maybe up to $15 billion allocated by the province, so more revenues are needed.
So how would your vision affect transit riders? There's a couple of ideas there, distance-based. Take us through them.
Yeah, okay. I guess I should say right off the bat that it's not just increases in transit fares that the economists who wrote the report have looked at. It's a whole slew of revenue tools such as road pricing, new kinds of commercial parking taxes, perhaps even a 1% sales tax across the region. So some of those would bring in a lot more than increasing transit fares by a little bit. But again, as you said, the principle is everyone should dig a little bit deeper if we're going to have the kind of region where we can move people around more effectively.
So it would follow the Go Transit model where you would pay for distance, pay less in off-peak hours.
Correct. And in addition, it was pointed out to me by someone that years ago the TTC did have a zonal-based structure so that if you were north of Eglinton on the Young Line, you would pay more than someone who is, let's say, closer to downtown. So this isn't a revolutionary concept. It's kind of going back to the future, if I can use that phrase.
And also for parking. Interesting comments about parking, and that we're all trying to get those key spots on the street, which are actually cheaper, yet parking garages are overpriced.
Yeah. There's an academic out of LA called Shoup, and he studied that people actually create more congestion by looking for cheaper parking spots on the street, and they drive around the block 10, 20 times. So if there were ways to use new technology by saying, okay, rather than putting a card or coins in a meter, there'd be a transponder type device where you'd say, I'm going to spend a certain amount of money for 45 minutes. If I'm in the interview and it goes, okay, you're coming up to that 45 minutes, you want to load it up for another half an hour, it'd be a great interview, by the way, then we could say, okay, we're going to charge a premium for that additional half an hour. So I think with new technology, the sky's the limit. There's lots of possibilities in terms of charging people in a fair and perhaps more effective ways.
And in the report, excuse me, the T word again, tolls, road tolls.
Yes, or road pricing. Yeah. Distance-based pricing is the way to go. I mean, it's been proven that people who are driving the 407, the tolls on that piece of infrastructure go up every year, and it seems to get a little busier because I drive it every day. So I think the aversion to road pricing is a little bit of a make-believe attitude. I mean, it's going to be tough to figure out how you're going to do it in this region, but again, there are ways with new technology to do that effectively.
But this report talks about people paying more taxes, and Toronto's mayor has said, even as recently as last night, I'm not in favor of new taxes. We continue to talk about tolls and transit, but we don't get anywhere. Is there a timeline that Toronto is bearing down on?
Well, Metrolinx is the group that has to deliver an investment strategy by June 1st of this year, so there is a fixed timeline, and that's why Metrolinx and the City of Toronto are engaging the public right now in some dialogue about how to do this. I think that the polling that's been done recently shows that people are more supportive of road pricing and other measures if they see that it's dedicated to pay for transportation infrastructure. So in a certain way, I think that the people will be in front of the politicians for the most part, except for Premier Designate Wynne, who seems to be really on the ball on this issue.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Pooja, I'll send it back to you.
Thanks so much, Sue. And by the way, you can find the full details from the report on our website. And the report, also the focus of today's CP24 web poll. We're asking you, should public transit agencies impose distance-based fares as a way to fund expansion? Head to our website, cp24.com, and have your say.